a real good buffet.
It is a great one. When Winston returns from the opera, extend an invitation to join us at our table at the Sedgwick. Hey, you're up, buddy. Training will be on the job tonight. Try not to destroy too many Manhattan landmarks.
Hey everyone, this is Ray Carcillo with Classic Game Room, and when you go through life with most people always asking, "What did you do, Ray?" you can't help but be a fan of Ghostbusters. From its classic one-liners to its over-the-top special effects for the time, Ghostbusters wormed its way into a special place in geek culture back in 1984. So, with technology as far along as it's come, it was only a matter of time before the dreams came true of fanboys everywhere, and a Ghostbusters game with an original story was finally released in time for the 25th anniversary of the franchise.
That's what your proton stream is for. Come on, let's go! Peter!
The story opens up in 1991, 2 years after the end of the second Ghostbusters movie, with your character being hired as the newest Ghostbuster. Simply known as the Rookie, you begin your Ghostbusting career rather ominously, as while trying to catch Slimer, you short-circuit the famed containment grid that holds all the ghosts, ghouls, and specters that the Ghostbusters had already caught. Only a couple of ghosts escape, including our old friend Slimer, before Egon can get the grid back online, however. But since you let them go, you have to go catch them. Thus begins the obligatory training level, as you hunt the loose ghosts in the Ghostbusters firehouse basement. You seem to be a natural, but after catching the first ghost, Slimer floats out of the firehouse to find safety at his favorite old haunt, the Sedgwick Hotel. After arriving at the hotel and disposing of Slimer in a similar fashion to the first movie, Egon reveals the startling news that there's a lot more ghost activity going on in the hotel than just Slimer. Anyone remember the Twinkie? And thus begins the stirrings of a plot that started in the first two movies and will come to a fright-filled comedic head in a game that gives a fitting finish to what should always have been a trilogy, as it ties together everything from Gozer in the first Ghostbusters to the emotionally charged Slime River in Ghostbusters 2.
That convulsive PK shockwave really stirred the nest. Man, this lobby is so wrecked.
Visually, this game is stunning. From the ghosts and goblins to the Ghostbusters themselves, the game looks hauntingly good. The environments set the mood perfectly as you work your way through such familiar settings as the New York Public Library, to the unknown depths of the murky New York City sewers, as you uncover a cataclysmic plot over a century old. Add in the classic Ghostbusters soundtrack to help lighten or darken the mood as necessary, and you've got a game that feels like you're playing a new movie.
Want a piece of that one?
Of course, though, the best part of the peripherals is that there's no greater feeling than listening to all of the original Ghostbusters come back and do their own voices for this video game. Bill Murray sounded a little bit forced in his performance, but it has been so long since any of these guys have reprised these roles. But age hasn't affected any other Ghostbusters as badly, and Ernie Hudson surprisingly sounded the best of the bunch.
You had to climb all the way back up to tear them apart. How mad would you be at those three little dinky types?
I'd go with mighty pissed.
Along with Annie Potts coming back to play Janine, and William Atherton who returns as Dickless, Walter Peck, you can't help but fall in love with this game. The worst voice actor was the only newcomer to the series, accomplished actress Alyssa Milano as Venkman's love interest, as her lines just sounded unnatural, which was really a shame. The gameplay is strong, but not perfect. It feels great to try to control the proton wand and wrangle ghosts into an open trap, and nothing like the third-person shooter that it looks like. But sometimes the proton stream will arc through buildings and the ground as ghosts try to pull their way from your grasp as your pack begins to overheat, whether using your regular capture beam, or one of the three alternate weapons you're given over the course of the game that fits perfectly into the Ghostbusters canon, like a new stasis beam that Egon develops, or the slime hoses from Ghostbusters 2. And speaking of Ghostbusters canon, there are plenty of moments and ghosts from the first two movies that make their return that will make any true fan jump for glee, from the library ghost from the beginning of Ghostbusters 1, to actually having the painting of Vigo the Carpathian sitting in the firehouse.
I should have painted myself a bathroom in this thing.
Continuing with the gameplay though, no one actually dies in the game, but if you or the other Ghostbusters get knocked around too much, you'll be planted on your backside like a turtle as you wait for someone to help you up. I mean, you are supposedly carrying around 100 pounds of unlicensed nuclear accelerator on your back after all, so it's not easy to lift while on the ground. This sets up an interesting conundrum while fighting harder ghosts on the tougher difficulty levels. Do you keep saving your own bacon, or risk it to pick up your teammates and get some extra proton streams on the ghoulish baddies? Sometimes the decision is made for you though, as some ghosts, either by accident or on purpose, not quite sure, will hover directly above your fallen comrades and prevent you from reviving them. If everyone in the party gets knocked out, you have to start the mission over from a checkpoint. To say this can be frustrating after being knocked out 15 to 20 times on hard mode is an understatement. Only 7 levels are in the current game, but there was originally supposed to be 8, as was revealed to me in an interview I did with Harold Ramis when the game was originally released in June of 2009. Since the game takes place in November and ends right around Thanksgiving, Harold and Dan Aykroyd had originally wrote that the level before the final level would be the Ghostbusters trying to make their way through the Thanksgiving Day parade, and that the final boss of that level would have been a balloon float that became possessed. Unfortunately, the developers were afraid it would play out too much like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man level, and then they started to run out of time, so it was scrapped. Anyway, moving on, another big positive for the game is the replay value. An impressive multiplayer system that allows you to team up with up to 3 friends to bust ghosts in 3 different modes will have you coming back for more, as you try to rack up the high score as you catch more and more ghouls online. Add in a varying amount of possessed collectibles per story mode level, and the challenge of trying to scan every breed of ghosts with your PKE meter into your own personal Tobin Spirit Guide, and Ghostbusters will deliver more than enough for fans of all ages. If you're a fan of Ghostbusters, this game is beyond a must-have. This story has been waiting 20 years to be made, and is a service for its die-hard fans. There is no greater satisfaction than forcing a ghost into a well-placed trap and listening to Venkman whine when a new ghost slimes him from behind. This game is the culmination of everything fans have come to love from the series, and more.
Eerie place. I wonder if this is where the collector killed the librarian.